Hi guys, my name is Nishal Kaushal and I am currently interning with the Lexlex and Company, and today I'll talk about adoption under Hindu law. So as we all know, adoption is one of the fictions of law which have been marshaled for furtherance of the individual's interest. The law of adoption enables a childless person to make somebody else's child as of his own. Hindus foresaw this as the dawn of their civilization. Their ideal was not just to have a son, but the adopted son must bear the reflection of the natural son. With this refinement, it was natural for them to hold that all the intents and purposes an adopted son was like a natural son. Such was the ideal that the adoption meant that the removal of the child from the natural family and his transplantation in the adopted family. So much so that all the ties with the natural family were severed, except that he could not marry any female in the natural family whom he could not have been married had he not been adopted, and all ties in the adopted family came into existence. He was not merely to the adopted parents, but all his relations on the paternal and the maternal side in the adopted family also came into existence. This also meant that he could not marry the daughter of his adopted parents, whether that daughter was natural born or adopted, as she by fiction of law is his sister. On the other hand, the adopted child loses all rights and privileges of a natural born child in the natural family. Now, as we all know, adoption once made is final and irrevocable, such as an adoption validity cannot be cancelled by the adopter, natural parents, or any other person, nor can an adopted child renounce his adopted parents and return to the family of his or her birth. This means that if a person makes an adoption, under no circumstances he or she gets rid of the child. An adopted child cannot again be given in adoption. Once an adoption has been duly made in accordance of law, it cannot be cancelled, nor can the adopted child, the adopted parents, and the natural parents destroy the right of the adopted child. Now, who may take in adoption? First, the common requirements of capacity, as no person can make an adoption unless he or she first is a major, second of sound mind, as majority means the completion of the age of 18 years, and it seems that this age is even for a person to whom a guardian has been appointed in the Guardians and Wards Act. As we all know, under this act, in case guardian is appointed for a minor, the age of majority is extended to the completion of 21 years. Now, unsound of mind relates to the general condition of mind. Basically, it includes insanity, idiocracy, and lunacy, etc. This comes all under unsoundness of mind. Now, adoption by a Hindu male. A major Hindu male of sound mind can adopt whether he is a bachelor, widower, divorcee, or married person. But for a married Hindu male, it is obligatory to obtain the consent of his wife. In case he has more than one wife, then consent of all the wives is necessary. An adoption made without consent of the wife is void. Now, the consent of wife or any of the wives, in case a person has more than one, may be dispended if the wife has ceased to be a Hindu, or she has finally renounced the world, or maybe she has been declared by the court of competent jurisdiction to be of unsound mind. Now, adoption by a Hindu female. Earlier, married women whose marriage was in substance had no capacity to adopt even with the consent of her husband. but this section 8 has undergone a change by virtue of the amendment in 2010. Now a married woman can also adopt a child subject to certain restrictions which are applicable on her husband also, with due consent of her husband. Under the Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act 1956, a Hindu unmarried woman, widow, or a divorcee has capacity to adopt. In case Vijay Lakshmiya versus B.T. Shankar, that there were a widow, that if a widow adopts a child, he or she need not take a consent of a co-widow because she adopts a child in her own capacity. An unmarried or a widow has also the capacity to adopt. So if there is an adoption, it must be made by her husband with her consent. The position is thus that a married woman totally lacks the capacity to adopt except in any one of the following three cases. First, if her husband has ceased to be a Hindu. Second, if he has finally denounced the world. And third, if he has been declared unsigned by the court. Now, restrictive conditions of adoption. Just because a person has a capacity to adopt, it is not necessary that he has also the right to make an adoption, as there are certain restrictive conditions. As first, adoption of a son. The adopter must not have a Hindu son's son, or son's son. If he has any of these, he cannot make an adoption. If the son's sons or son's sons has ceased to be a Hindu, and adoption of a son will be valid. Now, adoption of a daughter. If a Hindu wants to adopt a daughter, it is necessary that he must not have a Hindu daughter or son's daughter. This is a new provision. Now, two person cannot adopt the same child. Two person cannot adopt the same child. Like two person do not mean husband or wife. In such a case, both are the adopted parents of a child. Two person basically means like two sisters or two brothers, etc. Fourth, age difference between the parent and the child. If a Hindu wants to adopt a child of opposite sex, then the age gap between them should at least be 21 years. Now, who may give in adoption? First, the father. The father cannot give the child in adoption without the consent of the mother of the child. If she has finally or completely renounced the world, or ceased to be a Hindu, or has been declared unsound mind, then the expression father here does not include that an adopted father or a putative father or stepfather. Now, the mother. After the amendment of 2010, the mother can also give the child in adoption with the consent of the father of the child. The mother of an illegitimate child has power to give the child in adoption, and no question arises of putative father's consent. But the mother of a legitimate child has, during the lifetime of the father, has no power to give the child in adoption even with the consent of the father. Now, the mother has power to give her legitimate child in adoption after the death of the father. Now, the guardian. Under the Act, the guardian has been given a power to give his ward in adoption under certain circumstances. The term guardian includes both de jure and de facto guardians. Thus, basically, a manager secretary who is in any charge of the orphan who has brought up the child, or under whose care the child is, can give the child in adoption. Now, the prior permission of the court is necessary, as when the guardian exercises power of giving the child in adoption, prior permission of the court is necessary. No court will accord permission to an adoption proposed by the guardian unless it comes to the finding that the adoption will be for the welfare of the child. If the child is capable to expressing his wishes, then his wishes will be taken in the account. Though the court may pass an adoption order contrary to the wishes of the child, if the welfare of the child is of as the welfare of the child is of paramount consideration, the financial condition and the social status of the proposed adopter may also be taken into consideration. In short, the court will weigh the pros and cons whether while taking into consideration in the place where the child is and the place where the child will be taken to. If the place where the child and the place if the situation in which the child is proposed to be taken is less advantageous to a child, the court will ordinarily refuse to pass an adoption order. Thank you.